So I've got my friend here, Pete, now. So we're going to talk about all the things to do with disability sport. So I'm going to ask my first question. So my first question to you, Pete, is when did you get into your sport?
I got into my sport in 2009, 11 years ago. I got introduced to boccia from my secondary school.
Yeah.
The unit I had in the mainstream school with the unit attached, and the unit attached have a very strong relationship with the sport, and it sort of rubbed off on me, and that's what I've been doing for the last 11 years.
So when did when did you get introduced to it?
Sorry?
When did you get introduced to the sport?
Into it.
Yeah, introduced by someone. Introduced by someone. When did someone show you boccia?
Oh, someone. The PE teachers that I had within the special unit.
So what are your ambitions in boccia in the future for you?
In the future, well, I did have ambitions to be in the Paris 2024, but it's not it's gone down the line, too far down the line now. So my ambitions will be to get higher into the up the ladder in the sport. So I've got to be in the I've got to go into the talent first, and then make my way up the pathway to England GB. But I'd like to eventually reach the Paralympics.
It's like me. I want to get into boccia. It's like I got introduced to it a few years ago, and I think I regret stopping it because I enjoyed doing it, and I enjoyed going to competitions and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the competitions are from Boccia England. You've got Heacote Cup, which is kind of for beginners and amateurs really, and the BE Cup is the next level up from Heacote Cup, and the BE Cup is for all of the winners of the Heacote Cup to go up a level and to play against better players.
So just explain the competitions and how they work and how boccia.
Okay.
And what is boccia as well?
So anyone who wants to play seriously, boccia seriously, there are that you enter the Heacote Cup, which is for beginners, amateurs, and people who want to get into sport seriously. That have got a condition within the classifications of either cerebral palsy or MD, or any other disability that might be able to get into the sport. Check on the Boccia England website for more information. The competitions are Heacote Cup, which is an individual competition, and that's what Henry probably does. And it's just you're going to a group stage with people in your own classification, and then if you're in the group first or second, you go on to the semi-finals, quarter-finals, wherever it is. And then if you win the entire competition in your classification, you will then go up a level to the BE Cup, where you play against some of the big, well, I say big players. I mean players that are in the talent or are in academies or are in
who come through their regions.
Sorry?
Or who come through their regions. think what else to ask you now.
My progression in the sport was so I went all the way through secondary school doing bocce and entering in the Helicopter Cup.
Yeah.
I never progressed anything further from a Helicopter Cup when I was at Amon School. I slowly progressed and slowly got better within time at Amon. And when I went to Toulouse, where I met Henry, I progressed even further. And I got out of the Helicopter Cup into the B Cup with the help of my coach that I have now, Barry, who's a very good coach and a very nice man as well. And he's progressed me further and managed to improve me as well as an individual person. And we've gone up in the B Cup, and I'm at the moment 10th in the ranking of my category in Bocce England, within Bocce England, in terms of the B Cup. And I'm now at Solent University in Southampton, and we've got a bocce club in the Solent Sport called Team Solent Bocce. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Team Solent Bocce, and on Twitter it's Solent Bocce. And we play against other local teams within the south of England, southeast of England, within Southampton and the surrounding areas. And we play against local other teams, and then if we were to win that, we would then go on to play against other top teams within the country. So you play locally first within your team, and then you play nationally if you win. And we managed to win one game against a team up in London before the lockdown came. So we played one match. We won that match. We've got 100% winning record, which is lovely to have. But of course, the lockdown came along and we couldn't do anything. For personally, I have been involved in the HPA, which is the High Performance Academy in Solent University, and that is to improve me as a player with top-notch staff, top-notch mental health advisors, top facilities like gym facilities, anything you can think of in an athlete's life, we've got at Solent University.
Yeah. So how do you think this is, affect people that play bocce and that haven't had the chance to play it this year because of COVID? So how do you think it has affected people that do play bocce when they can't really go play it at the moment?
Yeah, it was definitely a turn off, if you like. Normally, we'll be going up and down the country doing competitions and.
I think when I played it, we always played it. They would play it all through the year. I don't think competitions always came in February, and then it went on during the springtime, and then I think it stopped in the summer. But I definitely want to get back into bocce again and do it. If there's anyone out there who is disabled or wants to get into a sport that you could be involved in, just get involved in it. It's such a good sport to be involved in, and you meet new people,
and for people that want to get into bocce but are disabled, you can still get involved. You can play bocce in a fun environment. Only if you want to take it seriously, then that's where the classification comes in. And you could also volunteer as a referee or as a timekeeper or as you can volunteer in Butcher as well if you wanted. And of course, go to the Butcher England website for more information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, what are you going to say, Pete?
Yeah, no, so I was going to say that the Butcher England introduced in the lockdown, we couldn't do anything. So Butcher England have put out a really good initiative of Butcher virtually of the Rainbow Cup. I think they are in their 5th or 6th edition. So it has grown massively in the last few months in the lockdown, and they are getting more people to play along as well. And even if you don't have any balls at home, you can just use rolled up socks and join in on the action.
But I bet it's not always the same, is it?
Sorry?
I bet it's not always the same, is it? Like, you know, playing it, like, especially I think people in the bocce community, and especially me, I think we all want to get back into it again.
Yeah, it may look easy from the outside, but it's definitely not easy. You've got to think about tactically about where your opponent's gone, and you need to think about your turn, and then you need to think about if you throw the ball in any position, what the next player can do to explode or to win the game. So you need to think further ahead out of where you throw your ball, and you need to think about the opposite players' advantages or opportunities. So you need to try and block the player next to you, as well as try and get closer to the white ball as on your go. So it's very technically and very, you've got to use your brain quite a lot, and it's not as easy as people make out.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Pete, for your questions, and I'm going to I'm going to be asking Patrick questions now. But
I think you missed out a few questions, Henry.
Okay, so what?
I've got a few written down here actually. Sorry. You know, you can edit this.
That's fine.
Where are you at now in your sport compared to where you were a year ago? So, you know, I started off as an amateur in bocce, and then I progressed on to Heacote Cup, and then when I progressed into the BE Cup, I became more confident and more able to think about using bocce as a future ambition. So now I have ambitions to be a bocce coach after university, and I am now involved in Bocce England Academy, and my local one is Scorpions in Surrey, I think. There are 5 academies across the whole country, so it depends where you are in the country. There's an academy, and that is for people that are in Heacote Cup or are in the BE Cup or further along really, or in the talent squad. So, and then yeah, you get a little bit, you get a lot more opportunities being in the academy in terms of competitions, more experience in playing against other people in your category, more experience of knowing how bocce works, more experience of having bocce coaches helping you progress. So there's loads of opportunities and a lot more positives in an academy than you would be if you weren't in an academy but still completing.
Okay. Is there any other questions that I've forgotten?
What have you been doing in the lockdowns? We've discussed that already. When do you go back into the sport and plans for the future?
I think I'll ask you that question.
Do you want to ask those questions and then I'll answer them?
What's that? What's that?
So ask me, when did you go back into the sport?
I think you asked it. I think you asked it for yourself.
Okay. When did you go back into a sport? My, we've got nothing in the calendar for the next projected 6 months. So June 21. Although that is subject to change with the vaccine we've got now, but we shouldn't rely purely on that to help us get into sport. Because boccia is very close, you've got to play with the opponent next to you. And obviously you can't do that social distance. So I mean, personally, I would say it's going to take a bit longer than that. But I would like to go back into training as soon as, but of course we can't because training is at this moment in time only permissible for the elite players. So like people like David Smith, people on the Olympic team, people in the Team GB, they're the ones that are allowed to train. But of course, people below that can't at the moment. But we can train in our own households and that. We can't train in a proper facility yet.
I'm definitely going to get back into it when I can. I'm going to get into it.
Yeah, when it's the safest option, yeah.
I'm going to get into it straight away myself.
Yeah, but for England's main priority is that everyone is safe. That is obviously the first and foremost.
So how about I ask you all the questions, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, that's it, apart from plans for the future, but that's the butch coach and everything else. So, yeah, more than Henry.
Yeah, so I'm going to, so everyone, I'm going to get Patrick in, but he's going to record his, so he can ask his questions as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Henry.
So who introduced you to the sport, and how did you get into the sport?
When I first watched it at the London.
Paralympics.
Yeah, so first saw it in London, and then I saw the club launch on the news so I thought I would so I thought I might like it.
Yeah.
So I went along, really. Yeah. So yeah.
I think wheelchair rugby has been like a massive sport in the Paralympics for a few years, and I think in wheelchair rugby you've got more fans coming to it because they're more intrigued in the sport, and I think it's quite violent as well. Well, it can be.
Yes, it is pretty violent. Yeah.
But I think it's been a big sport in the Paralympics. So are there different categories in wheelchair rugby?
Well, there are a few classifications.
So who could play the sport?
So people that are disabled.
Yeah.
really, really, and then based on your disability,
So
then that is what your classification is.
yeah. So if you were speaking to new people that are playing the sport, would you suggest them going to play the sport?
Yes, I would. We are always looking for more people. Yeah.
I think it would be good to get those sort of people in the sport.
Yes.
So what are you looking at in the future? So you're probably look at getting the Paralympics, yeah?
Yes. Yep. Yes. That's shows the plan. Yes. Yeah.
That's cool. So where could people look at the sport on the internet and that? Where can they go to look at it?
Well.
Like what websites?
Well, you could find it on YouTube, being probably the best. Yeah, so you just have to search for it on search for it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just I think that's all the questions that I've asked. So thank you for watching today's podcast, and hopefully I'll do more. So Merry Christmas and have a good New Year, and I'll see you soon.